This week on Vice, the water crisis that's poisoning the people of Flint, Michigan.
I don't drink it. I barely want to wash my dishes with it. People are dying. Who want to be next? Not me.
So this is the Flint water treatment facility, which is where they failed to treat the water for corrosion, which led to the entire lead crisis.
Over the past year, America looked on in disbelief as the water crisis in Flint, Michigan unfolded.
Today, President Obama declared Flint, Michigan a disaster area.
It didn't seem possible that in the 21st century, Americans' lives could be at risk because of the water coming from their taps.
Government failed you.
The governor of that state acted as though he didn't really care.
Now, recently, both state and city officials have been brought up on felony charges as the people of Flint continue to feel the after effects of this story of mismanagement, corruption, and cover-ups.
We're here at the state capitol where Governor Snyder is going to be giving the State of the State address, but there are hundreds and hundreds of protesters from across Michigan who don't care what the governor has to say. In fact, they just want to send him a very clear message, and they want him gone. I just want to know, what are you carrying in your hand?
This water is from my tap. This right here shows it. They're saying this is safe for us, and what Snyder has poisoned 100,000 people with the stroke of a pen. You know, this is what happens when profit takes precedence over people, and we're just here to stand as one to say that we won't stand for this.
Flint, Michigan is surrounded by 1/5 of the world's surface drinking water. But in 2013, Governor Snyder's emergency manager made the inexplicable decision to switch the city's water supply to the toxic Flint River to save money, leading to one of the most severe public health crises in the United States, and criminal charges for city and state officials. So this is the Flint water treatment facility, which is where they treat the city's water supply. But when they made the switch over from Detroit, which came from a lake, to the Flint River, where the water is more corrosive, they failed to treat the water for corrosion, which led to the entire lead crisis that the city is now facing.
No, we're limited to here.
We're a limit?
Yeah, we're limited right here.
Most of the facility is off limits to visitors, but even here, the water appears to be undrinkable. Let's turn on the water, and then you can see. If you just smell the water, it smells like chemicals, and look at the color. To find out just how dangerous improperly treated water can be, we met with the scientist who first exposed the alarming levels of lead in Flint's water. What specifically caused the lead in the water in Flint?
The lack of corrosion control. The Flint River had more chloride in it, so when this corrosion inhibitor was not added as required by federal law, it was allowing the chlorine to disappear and allowing bacteria to grow, and one of those bacteria is Legionella.
State officials say the new cases pushed the total number to 91, with 12 deaths during 2014.
We actually predicted it would happen. We said, if you do not have corrosion control in a system like Flint, you'd expect to see a Legionella outbreak. You'd expect to see people dying. Unfortunately, that prediction proved to be true. The water was eating holes in the lead pipe. The water was leaching lead.
And Michigan's Department of Environmental Quality and the EPA, did they actively try to discredit you or others when you were bringing this to the public's attention?
Oh, yeah, we had to fight them. We had to fight the very agencies we pay to protect us. And we now know that they knew about this for, you know, a good 18 months, and we're completely working overtime to make sure no one would find out about it.
There's no doubt in your mind this was a cover-up.
Oh, no question. I mean, the lies that they were telling to cover this mistake up. Well, if this isn't criminal, I don't know what is.
As outrage continues against the officials who allowed this to happen, we spoke to the now former mayor of Flint, Dane Wally, who personally flipped the switch that started this crisis.
I pushed the button that closed the valve so that water from the Detroit system was no longer flowing into the water treatment plant. It was like cutting a ribbon at a new business and You know, I look back on that with regret every single day.
You told reporters the city's water is safe to drink.
All of our tests ever since this year have been comparable with what we used to get out of Detroit.
How did that come to be? I mean, it feels as though it was obvious.
I believed it was true when I said it. And it was true, it was accurate with the information I had, but it wasn't right.
Leanne Walters was the first resident to push for an investigation into the water system she knew was harming her family.
My family's been exposed to lead. One of my children has been poisoned. Beginning of June, I developed this lovely rash. It has never gone away since. My kids started developing rashes, and we didn't understand like what was going on. We noticed that he started complaining of headaches, giving us a hard time eating. My son will be 5 in March. He weighs 36 pounds. His twin is 53. How do you sit by watching the people who put you in office, showing you rashes all over their body, hair loss, your constituents bringing in all this discolored water, begging you for help, and how do you say you didn't know?
I'm deeply, sorry for what's happened with Flint's water crisis, for everyone who's been affected by lead, and all the other issues that we've had. The emergency managers were put in place with this austerity framework. It was cut services, raise fees, and that was the best that the governor and state were willing to offer a place like Flint. We happen to be a largely African-American city, a city where there's a high concentration of poverty. And that's wrong.
Flint eventually switched back to Detroit's water supply. But the damage to their lead pipes is so bad that the people still don't trust their water.
We suffering, but we living. We here. We can't just pack up and leave.
Why not?
Because we don't have the money for it. This is what we got to go through every day, all day, until this problem is fixed. I don't drink it. I barely want to wash my dishes with it.
I won't let my granddaughter bathe in it or shower in it or brush her teeth in it because we don't know the long-term effects of this.
I was drinking this water up until, I would say, about a month ago. And then when I kept seeing the news, I said, I ain't fuck that shit. They said lead and all that shit, but I was drinking it.
So you know what I'm saying? You don't trust it, guys?
No, I don't know. You can't trust them. The only thing you can trust is cold outside right now.
You imagine yourself waking up not knowing for 2 whole years, drinking poisonous water. People are dying. Who want to be next? Not me.
Oh, wade in the water. Wade in the water, children. Wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
The things that we're going through in 2016 in Flint, Michigan should be unheard of. In a country that has been so rich and so vibrant as this, reality is what we're dealing with is third world country stuff.
We knew that the problem was far bigger than they were letting it be known, but they continued to say that it was fine, and it wasn't.
And now, what's the situation today?
It's toxic. You can't drink it. You can't brush your teeth with it. Some people go to other areas just to take baths. The lead is still in the pipes now, so there is nothing safe about this water.
So there are some people who don't have a car and can't go get supplies or who are not receiving these supplies.
That is correct.
What do those people do?
They drink the water.
The government's response to the crisis has been so slow and so dysfunctional that local law enforcement has taken it upon themselves to step in and help.
I don't trust the government. It's testing. In the jail, I'm giving them bottled water. The inmates have better than the people that are out here. Isn't there something wrong with that? Everybody's talking. Everybody, all the politicians, everybody's talking. Somebody had to get off their ass and do it. And I thought, I have a jail. I've got the community service workers. I've got deputies. I can do this.
Sheriff Robert Piquel has worked in Flint for 18 years, and he's seen how this once thriving industrial city became one of the most impoverished in the nation.
General Motors pulled out. We
weren't able to get the industry to come in. But you really have to have industry, you know, if you're going to be a vibrant city. If this was Grosse Pointe or Ann Arbor, this never would have happened.
Authorities have been replacing the lead service lines in Flint for months now, but so far they've completed less than 1% of the work. And many homes continue to test positive for elevated levels of lead.
So we're at a community family fun night where families are bringing their kids in order to play, but also be tested for lead poisoning.
Where'd he go?
You ready? It's all right.
Good job! What a big boy today. No, there's no more poke. We're just going to collect the blood, honey, okay?
No more.
I know.
Young children are especially vulnerable to lead poisoning, which can cause developmental delays, hearing loss, and even death.
Well, he has scars on his legs. Mine. Like that. Mm-hmm. And they're on both legs. He was getting bumps all over.
You took him to the doctor?
Yeah, they said it was a virus. They said because of the lead in his blood, he couldn't get rid of it.
How does this affect children in Flint? I mean, what are the repercussions of having lead in the water?
Lead destroys kids' potentials. It creates antisocial behavior, reduces IQ.
Brain damage?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
They knew a long time ago that they were poisoning people from it. They could care less.
The crisis in Flint caused a nationwide uproar so intense that in May, President Obama visited Flint and took a sip of filtered local water.
And this used a filter.
But Congressman Dan Kildee, who was born and raised in Flint, says what happened there is just a symptom of a larger crisis spreading across America.
This is an important story because it rips the cover off some of the falsehoods of the current promise that America represents. This is happening in one way or another all over the country. You look at older cities that are mostly poor, mostly African American, and you see a lot of the same things going on. Crumbling schools, empty buildings, no real investment. We let these cities get to the point where they're just one bad decision away from complete collapse. The folks making these decisions don't care about people who live in Flint. Nobody in Flint wants sympathy. We just want justice.